I think overthrowing the Maduro regime in Venezuela is entirely legitimate for the United States to do. It was the Trump policy in his first term. I think the activities of the Maduro regime are inimical to American national security. And so I think the right step of removing Maduro is something now we have to complete and finish with the rest of the regime. What absolutely baffles me is that Trump appears to be prepared to deal with the regime simply without Maduro and to throw the opposition, the Democratic opposition, under the bus because he wants stability to negotiate over the oil. We've got overwhelming ability to cut off exports and imports from Venezuela. That's what we ought to do, eliminate this dictatorial, corrupt regime and begin the process of turning government back to the people of Venezuela.
And as you say, at the moment, it doesn't feel like that's the case. I mean, this doesn't feel like regime change. It doesn't even feel like leadership change. It feels like it's a call for behavior change. Work with us and we will allow you to do whatever you need to do to the Venezuelan people. Is that your reading of it?
Sure. Look, there are two things to do. You can change the regime or the regime can change its behavior. I'll guarantee this regime isn't going to change its behavior. And I may not have invented the phrase regime change, but I know it when I see it, and this is not it. If we can truly take control of Venezuela's most important export product, petroleum, which I think we can, then that's enough to overthrow the regime. And that ought to be the only subject of bargaining is what these people would like for lunch on their flight to Havana to go into exile. It's time for the opposition, which won the election in 2024 that Maduro stole, to be put in power.
What do you think happened there? Why do you think that Machado was sidelined in the way that she has been?
You know, the only thing I can look at are press reports that say she didn't have good relations with the Trump diplomats assigned to talk to her, that Trump clearly has an affinity for strong figures, and maybe he thought Delcy Rodriguez and Vladimir Padrino were the people that he wanted to talk to. I think this is a huge change from what the plan, to the extent there was a plan, was, and I think it's fraught with danger that the regime will stay in power, the people of Venezuela will remain repressed, the Russians, Cubans, Chinese, and Iranians will remain in Iran, and all Trump will have done is make a deal to help market regime-produced oil around the world.
You know all too well about regime change. I mean, obviously, you were part of the Bush administration when Saddam Hussein was removed from power. Having had that experience, do you think that perhaps the way that the Trump administration has handled it is probably the best given the circumstances of the situation, and trying to uproot a regime would mean having American boots on the ground and would mean that Donald Trump would literally have to run the political, economic and strategic situation in Venezuela?
No, I don't think that follows at all. It wasn't the plan in 2018 and 2019. It wasn't the plan in Panama in 1989 when Manuel Noriega was removed. This legitimate civilian government in Panama took power a few days later. This is something that happens all the time around the world. If the interest of the Trump White House is stability in Venezuela to make a deal on oil, they might as well have left Maduro in power.
And what about, the concern that Europeans have about the Trump administration setting their sights now on Greenland? I mean, frankly, Donald Trump mentioned Greenland perhaps 9 or 10 years ago, and it's something that he's toyed with from the very beginning of this administration as well. But now it seems like those threats he's making is something that the Europeans are taking extremely seriously.
Well, I think this is something that could have been resolved back in the first term. It's when I became an expert on Greenland and the U.S. relationship to it. The fact is that Greenland is endangered by Chinese and Russian activity in the Arctic. It is a matter of extraordinary concern for American national security and Canadian national security and Danish national security and the security of the entire NATO alliance. There are a lot of ways this could be resolved. Trump is taking something that's really easy to figure out and making it very hard. So I think there's enormous opposition in Congress, including finally in the Republican Party. to any use of force against the territory of a treaty ally, which is what Greenland is. And I'm hoping that Trump will simply back off this rhetoric and we don't face a real crisis, because it is the case, if Trump ordered the use of force against Greenland, there would be a political earthquake in the United States. And it would probably mean the end of the NATO alliance. This would be a catastrophic mistake if he proceeded that way.
Are you concerned that perhaps he might move in that direction?
You know, with Trump, anything is possible, but it may be somebody can pull him off the edge. And I think it's important now domestically in the U.S. that we have more Republicans speak up and say the use of force here is not just out of the question. It's incredible that anybody would even think about it.
Ambassador Bolton, thank you so much for your time.
Glad to be with you.